everyone, we're here with Forthright tonight. If you don't know them, you're missing out. They are badass crossover band out of Evansville, Indiana. Just had a new EP come out that I've probably listened to 4 or 5 times today alone. Um, some great, like, it's not all one sound. There's some other sounds in there, which is fucking like, okay, I can get into this.
Hell yeah. Well, I'm glad you enjoy it,
Thanks,
man.
man.
Yeah. That's definitely our goal, is to be like super efficient with like our songwriting, but also not be one dimensional. So like that's always the goal. So I'm glad that that's what you got out of it.
Yep.
Yeah, for sure. So what was like, well, I guess I'm going to start from the beginning. What
Sure.
brought the band together?
Well, I mean, you're kind of looking at it.
Yeah, just the two of us, man. We I don't know, we got together like, I don't know, it was like my freshman year of college and your sophomore year maybe.
Yeah, we went to high school together. And like most local music scenes, there's only like 10 people that are playing in bands always.
And
So
only,
like,
only two of them are drummers.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
actually, I was the first guy, and uh, yeah, man.
yeah. So like kind of from there, we actually started in 2016. It was April 2016. We've been at it for about 8 years now. Obviously, multiple different lineup changes and whatnot throughout the years, but we started out wanting to be more like, honestly, like hard, like heavy
The other
hard
day,
rock.
like what you said like heavier Godsmack.
Yeah, we were like, we want to be like heavier Godsmack, bro.
We're
You
like,
know?
that's cool.
Yeah.
I still like that mantra, but I'm glad we've kind of evolved into something else. So
Yeah. And like, as the years have gone on, our sound has kind of molded into like primarily thrash is where we get our roots, because we all love like old thrash bands and stuff like that. But then just little by little kind of taking pieces of stuff that we're enjoying at the time, and honestly of bands that we have the privilege of getting to play with, and we try and be influenced by them as well. So
yeah, it's hard to, Evansville's been a kind of a hotbed of cool shows over the past few years, and it's hard to be on those shows and not be blown away by like what some of the touring bands will do, I think. So, like we got to play with like No Cure and Two Inch Stab Wounds and Extinction and bands like that, and it's, I don't know, I feel like you're kind of crazy if you watch a band like that and you're not kind of in awe, and you're like, oh my god, I got to do something like that. We gotta incorporate this or that. Like, it's, I don't know, seeing bands and getting to play and open for bands like that is so sick. And I don't know, like it just finds for us, it finds its way kind of into what we're doing. So
Well, I think bands at that level absolutely should inspire you,
yeah.
because obviously you got into music because you absolutely enjoyed something maybe another performer did. You were just like blown away by it. So to be constantly like inspired by these bands that are out there doing the thing, touring, whether they're making $1 million or $100, they're out there doing it. And that's, fuck, it takes a lot of balls to say, hey, let's get in a van for 6 months this year and do something.
touring sucks, dude.
Yeah, on paper, objectively, it sucks. But I mean, you're right though. It's like it's you gotta, if you're wanting to be out there and do the thing, you gotta do the thing. You gotta spread the music to the masses. So
yeah,
it's been really great for us. Like he said, here in Evansville, like the last 2-3 years, it's been like really really big revival of the scene, and like a bunch of new bands have come out, and like even that are local bands and stuff like that. And it's it's been easy to be inspired by what's going on, because
Yeah.
there for a while here in Evansville, it was kind of a little bit more dead. There wasn't as much going on because of a lack of venues, and so it's just been very easy over the past few years to be very inspired by that, and that's kind of what inspired this EP. It was kind of like a love letter to everything that's been going on around here, but in our specific way that we like to do things. So,
yeah, I think that sums it up pretty well.
yeah.
Yep.
So that was kind of a, and the EP War of Attrition, and like all of it is just kind of, it's kind of based on the idea of what it means to be a creative or to be a musician, which is like there's some times where you soldier on because you're doing the thing and that's what you want to do, and it's sometimes it's thankless, a lot of times it's not always super duper cool, but you keep doing it anyway because it's what you got to do and it's what you want to do. And so that's kind of that's kind of like the pseudo theme of the EP is like standing in the face of what did I say? It's like standing in the face of an unyielding reality and persevering in spite of it. We're also big fans of Gojira as well.
Yeah.
So big ups to them and a lot of similar like themes. At least I try and rip for our lyrics and stuff. So
yes, it's definitely. Yeah. I think it's apparent if you were to sit down and look at the lyric sheet or whatever. You know, Nick gets really I don't know. You get definitely esoteric with like themes, and it gets kind of cerebral, and I think that's definitely a little bit due to Gojira.
Of course, love Gojira, fantastic. So
good for them for fucking playing the Olympics, dude.
Oh my God. So cool. So I like just so happened to be. I think I was in. I was actually in Bloomington at the time having pizza with like my family. It was like a family get together, and I looked up on the screen. And I saw, I couldn't hear it, of course, because we were in this crowded pizza place. So I was like, dude, that's Gojira. They're on the TV. It was so cool.
I hated that, like, when it was happening, though, every fucking announcer would just talk over it.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, it's a band, I guess.
Yep.
We're like, dude, we just want to hear them, please. They have 3 minutes.
Yeah.
Shut up for 2 seconds.
Yeah. Well, but, you know, to for any sort of metal band or even you know hard rock band to get to that level is like I think that's what everyone strives for. I mean, I've read an article because I'm a big Gojira fan too. Like I've loved those dudes for a lot of years.
Yeah.
But the day before, I think was it the day before? Day before they played, I don't even remember. The number was like something stupid, like I don't know, 1.5 million streams.
Yeah.
And the day after was like, I don't know, hundreds of millions. Like
right. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's the ultimate publicity for those guys. You know, not to be like, let's look at it from a marketing standpoint, but like, holy shit, I mean, they were on the world stage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everyone was watching.
Also, there was controversy surrounding their performance for some reason. So, like, that definitely helped a lot, too. So,
Yeah, which perpetuated it, right? Like, in
the least controversial thing, at least.
It was.
It's, it's so crazy to think about. You're like, oh, not to use it as a marketing thing, but bullshit. Like, you get in there so you could play more music to more people and sell more records. Like for them to hit there, now more eyes come into just the heavy music world as a whole, which helps everyone out.
Yes,
for sure.
I'll never understand like the gatekeeping of when you see your favorite band get huge. I'm like, dude, it's what grows, like, not to make this a weird, dramatic thing, but that's what grows the community, and that's what grows, like you said, listenership for just heavy music in general. Like, I think it's grown more than ever. I mean, it's a good time to be a metalhead. I mean, metal's huge now. I just saw Knocked Loose played in front of 15,000 people the other day.
Yep, Knocked Loose, man. They're the band that's doing it.
Yeah, like playing Madison Square Garden. I literally had a conversation about them yesterday. Right. Like, so I live in Louisville. They're from like right here.
Oh, so that's like hometown heroes for you.
Yeah. So when they did the album release show at Paris Town Hall the night before those two shows, they played a little rinky-dink show in a 350-seat venue.
Right. Oh, wasn't it with Torture?
Yeah, it was Torture.
I heard about that.
X-Weapon X, Gates to Hell. Oh, dude.
Yeah.
That was insane.
See, that's the show I wanted to go to.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, that'd have been cool, man.
That was. I was like, I didn't see them before, right? That was my first time seeing them, and like that type of band, I don't want to see them in a big venue. I want to see them in a small, intimate place, like you guys, like Damsels, dude, with 50 or 100 people just fucking crowded in there is like, that's where you want to be. Well, this venue was like that, wall to wall.
Yep. Yeah, I can only imagine. Yeah,
you're like, dude, holy shit.
Yeah, especially at the time, because Torture, that was like as they were blown up and being huge too. So like obviously it was cool because Knocked Loose was there, but I know a lot of people from Evansville went because they were like, dude, Torture's playing. We gotta go see them with Knocked Loose, So it's a really like perfect storm of like hype for that. Obviously the other shows were big too, but like for that one show you're talking about, there were some people who went to, they said it was insane. So
it was so many black guys. I actually saw Torture Saturday at the Obituary show.
Oh, nice. Yeah, dude. Wait, didn't wasn't there a band on there called Draped in Black too?
Yep.
That's our friend Hunter boy.
Oh,
Yeah,
I know
Hunter.
Hunt was on that
Yeah,
show.
yeah. Okay, so yeah, small world,
Yep.
man.
For sure. It was Draped in Black, Chasm, Torture, and Obituary.
Damn, that's
a
probably a
wild
really good
show,
show,
man.
man. Yeah, yeah.
It was a really good show. I always, Obituary, they've been around so long, like, when you go to their show exactly what you're getting. It's gonna
Yeah.
be a good time.
Mhm.
So yeah, that's always fun. So speaking of like bigger bands,
Sure.
if there was a band that said, "Hey, you guys want to go out on tour and hang out with us," like what would your ultimate band be?
That's a good
That's a good
question.
question. I mean, why don't you go? Why don't you say, Eddie?
I don't know. I mean, me and Nick are similar in this. We talked about this the other day. We did this other podcast, but we kind of like everything. So it's hard for me to narrow down one answer. I think it's going to depend on the day.
So
But
Taylor
like,
Swift, I got you.
oh, yeah, obviously,
Dude, I
yes.
mean, if we're
That's
talking paying the bills, then
Yeah.
absolutely, dog. You
Oh,
know,
it's still
but
in a
artistically,
like bands that we would maybe come within the realm of fitting with. Like
No, it
I don't know,
doesn't like honestly, it doesn't matter if you fit or not. It's who do you want to go out on the road with?
oh, for me it'd be like probably Deftones. Like that's like one of my favorite bands ever.
They just
Oh.
announced that tour with the Mars Volta.
yes, they did.
So me and Emily were just talking about
Oh,
trying
you
to
were?
take us to that.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
And
So
are you
that's
guys going to Indianapolis?
We're debating on that or Nashville. It's just gonna depend on like what day I can get off work. But that'll be my second time seeing them, and I gotta go again. Like I love that band, man.
Yeah, that's like so Deftones is like one of our family bands. So if we go
Oh,
see them, me, my wife, and my kids, we all go.
oh, that's so sick, dude.
Yeah, it's
Hell
fun
nice,
yeah.
as
nice.
shit. Like
Yeah.
I think what we'll do is what we did last time. We'll do Nashville, Indianapolis, and Detroit.
Oh, so you're doing
Cool.
all three?
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Damn, dude.
That'll be cool.
That's dope.
Yeah, dude, my kids have seen Deftones, I would say 20 times at this point.
Dang, lucky
Hell
kids.
yeah.
Lucky kids, dude. Yeah,
They're
that's
a good
awesome,
dad,
man.
bro. That's
Yeah,
dope.
no,
Yeah.
they're good kids. They were a lot of fun. Like we did 2017, we were like, hey, we have I think three ideas for vacation. What do you guys want to do? One was like go to Florida, one was, I don't know, go up North Michigan, and the other was
Yep.
go see Deftones and Guns N' Roses in Minneapolis. And both the kids were like, oh,
Oh, that would
we're
be
going to
really,
see,
really dope,
they were
man.
like Deftones, like, hell yeah, let's go.
Yeah, that's a sick
That's
family
killer.
vacation. That's awesome, man. Yeah, dude, that's a good answer though. Deftones. I don't
Yeah.
know, man. I mean, okay, we mentioned them earlier, so I got to say it again. It'd probably be Gojira or like Mastodon. I saw
Oh, yeah.
Gojira and Mastodon on
Yeah.
that tour they came through in Nashville a few years ago.
Oh, it was last year.
Yeah, it
With,
was like,
Lorna
dude,
Shore.
that feels like 5 years ago, man.
I was there.
In Chicago.
Oh, we did see him in
2019,
Chicago.
Chicago
Yeah,
Open Air.
we saw Gojira at Chicago Open Air
Well,
with.
Mastodon was there too.
No, Mastodon wasn't. You're thinking of System of a Down and Tool, bro.
I don't know anymore.
Yeah, that was pre-COVID. So, but no, I would say probably Gojira or Mastodon. But if we're talking more like somebody more realistically, like I think getting to go on tour with a band like fucking Orthodox
That's exactly
or
what I
No
was gonna
Cure
say.
or like one of those
We
bands
love Orthodox.
that's really kind of fucking they're doing it and they're doing it in a big way, but they're not at the point where they're like huge like mainstream
It's not like
successes.
unobtainium. It's like
Yeah.
maybe one day this is something we could hopefully do
Yeah.
if we put out the right music and we talk
Mhm.
to the right guy or whatever,
Yeah.
you know.
We also just love those bands. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
talk that again, going back to bands that are like inspiring to us is like, not that big bands aren't inspiring to us as peers, but like, that's a band you see and you're like, well, that's an attainable goal if we just like put our mind to
Yeah.
it and actually like do some good work. Cause those guys are out there, those bands are killing it, man. It's really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's the hardest thing for a lot of bands to really realize, though, is like when you're in a band, it's not just we're gonna play music and go play some shows, right? Like we'll play one
Nope.
show every 6 months or
Yeah.
couple shows.
Right.
Like if you want it to be something, you get out there and you have to grind it to get there. And it's, you know, as as shitty as it is, there's sleepless nights and some foodless days. And
It sucks. I mean, there's no way to sugarcoat it. And I mean, of course, you have your special cases where you'll have a band blow up overnight, and most of those aren't even overnight. People will say, people. Anytime I talk about Knocked Loose, I know that they're a worn out subject at this point. But anytime I bring them up, or I'm having a conversation, people love to tell me, "Oh, that band blew up overnight." I'm like, "What the fuck are you talking about?" Like,
no,
I
right.
played shows with those guys 11 years ago in front of nobody. Like those guys worked harder than anybody, and that's why they're where they're at. You know?
Yeah. Do you guys know Surfaced?
Yeah. Oh yeah. We actually just
We
played
with them the other day.
in our other band. We're in another band called Narcotic Rod. It's like a death metal slam band, and we played a show
At
Spinelli's with them, Mouth for War, which is where I got this shirt.
Yeah.
And then also 10 to the Chest. 10 to the Chest, dude. It was a great show.
Fun.
Yeah.
Those bands were nuts, dude. Plus the new Spinelli's is so sick.
It is. It's really cool.
Where at? Where's it at?
It was just a downtown location. All I know is we got booked on there from our friend Hunt, who he's in Draped in Black and stuff like that. It's downtown. I know. I'm not gonna lie. I don't go.
It's at 4th and Chestnut, I think.
Yes,
that sounds right.
Yes, it was that because I remember thinking 4th. Interesting. We're close to 3rd. Blah blah blah. Anyway, so, but yeah, no, really cool. That's my first time ever being there. I know Eddie's been there in the past, like at the older locations.
Yeah, the old Spinelli's. Like I had,
yeah,
got a chance to go there and play there a few times, and it was. One of my old bands, Strict, got to play at the old Spinelli's. Like I think it was their last show before COVID happened. It was like very end of 2020. And I think we played with Bugging Out or I don't even remember who it was, Magnitude or something like that. It was a dope band though, whoever it was. But yeah, that place was sick, but it was really, really small. So this place it's the new Spinelli's is a little bigger and a little more accessible, it seems like. So I can't wait to play there again or just go to a show there again.
Yeah. I've not been to a show there. The last show I almost went to that show that you guys are talking about.
Oh, okay. Hey, you would have seen us open in our other band. Yeah. That would have been funny. You'd have seen us like twice in 3 days.
That would have been hilarious. Yeah. I don't even know what happened. Probably work, whatever. But like Surface is another band that's out there doing it. I mean, I think they've hit 2 or 3 tours at some point this year. They're probably on tour right now, as a matter of fact.
Yeah.
Well, they're excellent too. I mean, so we played with them with Forthright, and I think it was like the first or second show or something. Like
it was last July.
They were green. They showed up and like they barely had working gear, and I was like, oh, there's some young kids, whatever. And they got up and ripped it, and I said, oh shit, these guys are not to be messed with. Like these guys got something. And then seeing how like that band was great back then, but seeing how good they've gotten just in the course of like a year, maybe a hair more, is wild. Like I was at the show the other night, and my girlfriend had to work early. And I was like, we need to stay for a few more songs. I can't not watch this. It's so good. Like I couldn't look away from it. And
yeah,
I don't know. They're putting the work in, and it obviously shows.
Yeah, I saw them. Belushi Speedball had an album release in May, and they played that show, and that place, I don't know, 600 or 700 kids packed into headliners, and JP was up there just like, hey, do this, and the crowd like did that, and I'm like,
yeah, it's pretty cool.
Oh,
there's
dude,
the magic in that when someone can truly command an audience, because I don't know, there's nothing worse than seeing a room full of people just stand there like mannequins when they're the band up there is trying to elicit a reaction and it's just not taking. But the opposite of that is just so wild to see, and that band is definitely worthy of commanding that presence, I think. They're killer.
Then the thing nobody ever talks about though is to get to that point where you can do that, there's for every like 2 or 3 shows where you've got that, there's like 10 to 15 shows of, hey, there's 10 people here and nobody's paying attention to you. Like
If it was like comic terminology, like you have to have a couple shows where you bomb, like you got to go up there and whether you do good or not, you got to play to a room full of people that are looking at you like, I don't know if I need to get a cigarette or
Yeah.
what
Yeah.
we're doing here.
Mm-hmm.
And
Well, that's all part of it, but
Yeah.
like you said, like they've made this progress so fast.
yes,
Uh, what was it? First show they were playing with Prison, I think. First time I saw them, and I was like, yeah, that's all right,
Mhm.
right? Like that was a good show. And then and then I saw them with Southpaw. Um,
Nice.
that run with Southpaw, and then it
Mhm.
was Belushi Speedball, and I was like, oh, all right, we can get into this.
Yeah.
But they were great. They were great every time. Just as you said, they really grew into their like stage legs there.
yes,
Yeah.
most definitely.
It's really good to see younger. I mean, I say younger. I mean, because they are younger than us.
Right.
You know, it's good to see like younger bands doing that and finding that confidence early because like I was thinking about this the other day. I'm like, if I think about the stuff that we made when we were like 19, 20, and 21, I'm like, I look back on it now and I'm like,
A
yeah.
lot of it's actually unlistenable, so like it's cool to see bands make genuinely good music that young.
Yeah.
Like that show that you saw us at with Extinction, the opening band, Devour. They're Evansville locals, and I think they're
Literally
16.
like 16 and 17. Like they're like
they
high
are
schoolers,
kids. Like they have to leave to go to school the next day. So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's great, and there's been a lot of really really young bands here in the Evansville scene. Like a great example, we played a fest here in Evansville last weekend called Fuchsia Fest. More of like an alternative, like more of an alternative and like post hardcore
I
bands
had
and
some
stuff
friends
like that.
play that.
Yeah, and like Shatterhand is a band from here. It's the same thing. Like they're all very very young, but like they just released their first EP. And I listened to it and I was like, this is like actually good. This is
no
not
shit,
just
like gave me chills when I
Yeah,
heard it. And
it's
then
like-
not like because like, and I'm sure you've been there. Like you go to a show and you see whoever played and you're like, oh, good set. Like it's fucking T-ball or something.
Yeah.
Everybody says good game, but
Yeah.
it's really weird when you're not just going through the motions of like, I'm gonna be nice to this guy because they seem like a nice person, and you're like, oh wow, that was you did something up there. Like that was so sick.
Yeah.
And yeah, there's a lot of young kids where I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't even have to pretend that was good. You just fucking killed it. Like
Yeah.
it was amazing.
So it's really been inspiring. Like I said, going back to being inspired, it's been very inspiring for us to, we've been a band for 8 years now, but it really feels like this last 2 or 3 years is really the most that things have taken off for our local scene. And for us, we don't play a huge part in it. Like for instance, when I say that, I mean we're not people who book shows and stuff like that. We're not people who are putting on shows. But at the same time, like it's been very inspiring for us to still be a part of it in the ways that we've been able to. And part of that is the joy of seeing like a bunch of really young bands grow and starting to get their legs and just honestly just having fun and like realizing that like it's about the community. It's about making awesome shit with your friends and having a good time. Like that's really what it all comes down to. So
yeah, it's tight.
Oh, that's the way it should be, right? Like
yeah,
we're just gonna go have a good time with our friends. Let's play some music, drink some beer, do whatever we're gonna do, and
yeah,
100%.
see what happens. And I think that's where most bands really really start, right? Obviously, you've got the bands who are like, I'm gonna play because I want to get more women or whatever.
yes,
that
for
is.
the wrong reasons. For the wrong reasons. Yeah.
Right.
but the bands that actually last they're out there because they're playing, trying to think how to explain it. They're playing music that they that they want to, right, that they're inspired to play, or it's they're missing something in the music they're hearing and they're like, oh, this is what I'm missing, this is what I want to do.
Well, it's music. It's music for music's sake.
Yeah.
So to speak.
Yeah.
I've always thought that was a cool phrase. I don't remember who said it. It was like Mozart or something. It's like some old dude.
Some old guy.
Some old dude.
Old guy who's dead now.
But
Who's
like, I
probably
think
not.
that's a
Yeah.
cool concept. Just making something because you're like, I think this needs to be made and I like it, and for no other reason, no ulterior motive, and that's usually the most honest form of expression, I think, and I can respect that. I think that's cool. Whether I like somebody's stuff or not, if they're honest and genuine about it, I'm like, that's sick. You know, you do your thing, even if I don't like it. That's cool.
Yeah.
That's something I feel like, that's something that I feel like you don't get, maybe you don't get a lot of nowadays, is the idea that like, hey, even though what you're doing is not my cup of tea, like I still very much respect that you're doing it because it takes effort to do. You know, I feel like it's funny, we were talking about this on the other podcast, is like we as musicians and just as like people who enjoy music, we're very open. I joke that I have no discernible taste because I can usually anything I can find something in it that I like.
Yeah.
And it's because like I think having a mindset where you are defined more by what you don't like as opposed by what you do like is sort of it's something that overall can be pretty negative outlook, I think. Like, we've all met people who they define themselves by what they hate or like what they don't like about music rather than bands that they do like about music. And it's sometimes that's in the form of people who are elitist and whatnot, but like I think y'all know what I'm talking about when you meet the guy who like you try and talk to them and immediately just everything you've listed off, they're like, I hate that band, that's awful.
That's
and I'm
stupid. I only listen to this thing you've never heard
like,
of.
cool, man. All right, I was just trying to connect with you about some cool stuff.
You don't have to talk, guys.
Yeah.
Well, people miss that though. Like the biggest thing I think for humans that we need is that human connection. So having that conversation and someone shutting you down, it's like, oh, all right, connection canceled. I'm out of here, bro.
That's right.
True.
Go shit on someone's porch or whatever you're gonna do.
Of course. Right. Yeah. So yeah, we try and moving forward, we try to define ourselves by things that we do like and we do enjoy, and we also we've tried to. I feel like it's really easy when you're making music and you're doing anything creative. It's really easy to view it as competitive, where it's like I got to be better than everybody. I got to have more of this. I got to have more of that. I got to have people recognize that I'm the coolest person.
Yeah.
And like I feel like these last couple of years have really opened our eyes to the fact that music isn't really competitive, it's collaborative.
Yes.
And it's like what I said, it's about just trying to make awesome stuff happen with your friends. And if you're constantly trying to compare yourself to everybody around you and be competitive with them, like it's not conducive to actually making the best things, in our opinion.
It doesn't lead to anything good.
Yeah.
I think there's a healthy level of competition.
Of course.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yes. I think, I agree with everything Nick just said, but I definitely, when I go to a show and I see, no matter where it's at, if it happens to be a band before us and their drummer's just ripping, I'm like, oh, I got to play better than that guy. And it's not like, oh, I suck if I don't, but I'm like, I want to play that much better to make that guy say the same thing. And, everybody pushes everybody, and I think that can definitely be a good thing.
That's where that healthy level of competition is, right?
Yeah.
It's not, man, fuck you, I'm better than you. It's, oh,
right,
you did fucking awesome. Now I have to top you.
Right, I gotta one up you, dude.
Yeah.
I'm not saying
I gotta be better, dude.
But I gotta at least try to.
Well, and by the way, that thing you did with your foot and that second song right in the middle, that was fucking dope. How do you do that?
What thing?
No, he's saying that's an example. Like you go and talk.
I thought it was a genuine question. No. I'm so sorry. I was like, I don't remember, man.
No, this guy,
so
he just waves his limbs around and shit while he's drumming,
I don't know what happened.
I don't know what happened, but we're done. I'm out of here.
Yeah, I don't know what happened.
Genuinely, that's it.
We just played our new EP and that's it.
Anytime anybody ever asks me, that's my preloaded response. Anytime anybody asks me to break something down, I don't know any technicalities. I'm just like, I don't know. I like this band and this drummer, and that's it. Like, I can't explain shit about playing drums. I have no idea.
That, you don't have to. That's totally cool, right?
Why would you need to explain anything? Why?
Right.
Just do.
Just
yeah.
Like, I can't read music. Who gives a fuck?
Yeah.
I cannot. There's no way, dude.
Yeah, neither can I.
Yeah.
Played instruments for a lot of years, and it's like, I don't want to read music. I just want to play what I feel.
Knew in high school, and I forgot.
I have a couple of music projects where I still have to from time to time, and every time I do, I'm like, oh boy, here we go again. I got to remember how to do this, But like people who can do it, like I'm in a couple of musical projects with like classically trained musicians, I guess as you'd call it, and seeing them be able to like read down a score or something and like sight read, like for instance, they're a piano player, just being able to like sight read down something and play it immediately, it's like magic. It's like, wow, okay, so like they just gave you that piece of music, you can just play it, dude. All right, we'll go off then. I see you went to college for this.
Right.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
You spent a bunch
All
of
right,
money.
Mister. Yeah.
I didn't spend any, and I can't do a fucking thing, but I can
Nope.
still play.
Yes, exactly. I'm over here waiting to play the guitar solo. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like Matt Damon. Matt Damon? I don't know. One of those Northeastern guys. How you like them apples?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Of course, indeed.
One of the best movie scenes of all
Yeah.
time.
Yeah. Yeah, that was hilarious.
I got
I
it.
like seeing the clip come around on my socials. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna watch that clip because it's funny as hell.
That's
Got
the
to.
sickest movie, by the way, not to derail. It makes me cry, bro. Rob Williams just keeps going, it's not your fault. He goes, I know, it's not your fault. And I'm like, yeah, I know, but it makes me cry. So
Yeah, that's one of the dudes that I miss a lot too, Robin Williams. He was
Oh.
fucking great.
it hurts my heart that he's gone. He was too good for this world, man.
It was, yep. Mm-hmm.
Oh my God.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, hey, can I ask you a question, sir? I know you're asking us questions. But
Absolutely.
So you've listened to our EP allegedly 4 to 5 times today.
Okay.
What's the track that stands out to you on it? What's your favorite from it? And if so, why?
Okay. Give me a second. I'm gonna pull it up and I'll tell you.
Let's
Sick.
go.
Because I gotta remember the name. It's Dead to Rights.
Really?
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, that's not surprising. I really like that song
that
too.
song.
But why so?
Just because like it really switches up in there. It's going and then it changes and you're like, whoa, what was that? And then it's back and you're like, all right, and then it changes again. And you're like, whoa, what was that? Like I've growing up, I was very much like, this is what I listen to. I only want this. And I'm, as I get older, I'm gonna tell you, I'm pushing 50 now.
Yeah.
So, the older I get, the more I really try to push like my musical boundaries, and that track specifically stands out to me. And it's funny you asked that because I was like, I got to remember the name to that fucking song. And I literally, I listened to it. Where'd I go? I was driving in my car out to like LaGrange or something.
Yeah.
And I fucking listened to it. And I was like, oh shit, that track is fucking killer.
Thanks, man.
Like,
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, that features our good friend Mason Bradley from
Grow Blind.
Grow Blind. He's also in another band called A Modest Proposal. He plays bass and does some vocals in that as well. But yeah, that was one of ours, like for us when we were making this EP, that was one thing we wanted to do that we've never done before in all of the releases.
Never done features.
Never done any features. And it was partially because of some other stuff with previous members. It's not a huge deal. But like, so when we were thinking about like people we wanted to be on it, I think we played a show with that band we were talking about, Grow Blind, at a bookstore.
Yes, that's what it was.
At a bookstore.
Your brother's bookstore.
At your brother's bookstore in downtown Evansville. It was like one of the touring bands dropped at the last minute. So on the day of the show, the guy who was promoting, his name is Darren Harger. Love him. Great guy. He's the drummer of that band.
Birthday today, by the way.
It's his birthday today, by the way. Yeah, I know. He just texted, was like, hey, can you guys like touring band had a drop, can you guys come play like just a 15-minute set or something like in 2 hours? And we're all local except for one of our guitar players, and we were like, yeah, we could probably get it together. And we played just the 3 of us without our other guitar player. And that band Grow Blind was like the headliner, like they were the last band that was playing. And immediately when I saw them, I was like, yo, we need to get this guy to be on this song, because like I already kind of had loosely the song written, and I was like, it would be perfect for his vocal style and everything. And that show was so insane, man. It was like it was like what, like a 30-foot by 10-foot shotgun room.
Tiny bookstore.
Yeah, and like just nothing but like bunch of sweaty kids. Doing side to sides, like almost knocking over shelves and stuff is really cool. It's a great time.
Rowdy and fun and awesome.
And
yeah, I think that was like the perfect song, because that band sounds like, I don't know, like early Turnstile and that sort of stuff, like a little TUI in there, and like that song, like I don't know what you view it as, but I've always thought it sounded like the choruses sound like TUI or something, and then the rest of it sounds like System of a Down or something. And the culmination of those things, I think, definitely lends itself to that dude being on it. So
Yeah,
I think it made perfect sense.
Yeah, I'm glad that's your favorite track, by the way.
Yeah, like you weren't expecting me to come up with something so fast, were you?
No, not at all. That's why I said allegedly listen to it.
I was literally listening to it before you guys pulled up, or before you got on too. Like I like to like sit down and kind of get like, okay, I'm gonna listen to the band because those questions come up, and I don't want to be the dumbass. It's like, I don't know,
I don't know.
you know, like
Good
no,
on you.
Oh, they're all good.
like
good on you for doing your research then.
and it's funny that I'm like, no, and it changes, and you're like, I could see your face, like, oh, he did listen to it. Okay.
Yeah, I'm like, respect.
Yeah.
No. And then the other feature we had was that was the song Guillotine featuring Nick Erickson from Cohen.
Yeah.
Which so this guy here is the drummer for Cohen. So like that's like our brother band, you know, him and then our bass player Christian are the drummer and bass player for Cohen. And also their Cohen's guitarist, Kenton Smith is the one who mixed and mastered this whole EP.
He did it
right on.
Yeah, awesome. So like, we're like that. So but when we were thinking of people to do features, it just made sense to have Nick, because I was like, he shot music videos for us, he's insane vocalist, knew that there was like that part in the song, like the kind of creepy quiet section. I was like, that'd be perfect for him, like that's kind of like what he does really well. And it just kind of all came together, and couldn't be happier with the features that we got on it. I think they lend themselves to the style of the EP well without detracting and derailing the vibe too much. So
I agree with that. You know, there's a band out of California. They're a new band that they're called the Barbarians of California.
Okay.
And it's the AWOL Nation dude.
Okay.
And this dude Eric Stenman, who was in this alternative band Tinfeld, but I think he produced some of like AWOL Nation stuff too, like they're buddies.
Gotcha.
And the fucking album they have coming out is like, it's like a punk hardcore album.
Cool.
Nice.
Yeah.
But it does what that fucking song does, like, and it stops and it takes you in a direction you're like, what in the fuck is this?
Yeah.
I'm curious to hear that.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, it is
out now?
No, it comes out October 4th, I think.
Okay.
Well, nice, cool.
I'm gonna keep an eye out for that.
Yeah, for sure.
It's not to derail you at all, but so did you hear the dude from the Neighborhoods hardcore band he came out with? I think they're called Valley Girl, and it's the singer for the Neighborhood, and he came out with just a straight up hardcore band. And the first show they had was, I mean, it looked like a local band's first show was in front of nobody with like a shitty PA and stuff. And like, dude, this guy plays in front of 20, 30, 40,000 people every show. And then he's like, no, I want to do this now. And it's actually really dope. And it's I don't know, it's cool to see guys from bands like the Neighborhood and apparently AWOL Nation putting out music like that. Like, I don't know, it just goes to show that people like that shit, man.
Well, it's it goes kind of back to what we were talking about before, is like you play music that you want to play, and not you don't do it for any other reason than you play music to play music.
It's by far the most fulfilling way to do it. I mean, I've definitely done most all the no-nos Nick said, as far as this is the reason I'm doing this, whether it's I want to impress this girl, or I want to look cool, or I want them to go, oh my God, he's clearly better than us, or whatever. And every time I've tried to do that, it has failed miserably. Like, and if that was the only reasons I played music, I would not be doing it at all anymore. I would have found something else to do. I would have got a big barrel of Lincoln Logs or something else, new hobby.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But,
look at this cabin I built, honey. Let's do it.
Get some model trains go around it, bro.
Dude, you can get bitches via Lincoln Logs. They always say like, "Oh, be in a band, girls love bands." No, I don't. They like guys that have Lincoln Logs.
I like the Lincoln
All right?
Logs,
Just
man.
saying, man.
He's so right.
That's where it's at.
So I got my wife,
Right.
Yeah.
Women swoon in droves. They see you with a canister of Lincoln Logs.
If you got the Lincoln Logs, they know you got the scratch.
That's so true, though. You're right. The name brand Lincoln Logs.
Yeah.
Yeah. No Costco bullshit.
Oh God, who knew we were going to be a Lincoln Logs commercial tonight?
What can we say? It's just the way of the world. Capitalism. What can we say?
Godspeed.
Yeah.
Oh shit. So
Well,
can we get a sponsorship there, Lincoln Logs?
Yes.
Yeah.
Please, somebody give us money to play music consistently. I would. Yeah, I'd be happy
I
with
would love
that.
to have that be our only sponsor somehow.
Lincoln Logs.
Yeah.
That'd be cool. I like that.
And the commercial could be, you didn't know you could get bitches with Lincoln Logs, huh?
Yes.
Yep.
Well,
There you go.
That's the tagline.
That's the
See,
tagline. Yes.
They've been kind of waiting for a comeback here lately, and that might just be it. That might be their campaign.
Yes. They're waiting for us.
We've seen a lot of bad commercials where like people were like Pepsi is pandering to like all the riots and shit. It's gonna be the opposite of that.
God, yes.
Everybody would love if Lincoln Logs came out with a you get bitches campaign.
Yo, you guys need to like write the Lincoln Logs song now.
True.
Yes.
That's very true.
Yes.
We'll get on that. We can whip that up.
Hell yeah.
Whip it up
And,
right quick,
and then do like a spoof video of like just building all these things and wearing the gold chains and
I love it. I'm getting big like Boats and Hose vibes from this, from Step Brothers.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
But with Lincoln Logs.
We could whip up a song.
We could whip up a song. Yeah.
That'd be hilarious. I think if you guys did it, it would go viral.
Hey, you want to talk about being a musician and something we never thought we'd have to think about as musicians? Making content that goes viral so that people can like us on TikTok and stuff like that.
I hate it.
Jesus, that is
I
something
hate it.
12-year-old me learning how to play guitar never could have seen coming. And lordy, do I hate it more than anything else.
Dude, if I have to see one more TikTok that goes, guess which one of us is the drummer? Or do you like bands that sound like X or Y? Dude, I'm going to stick a toothpick under my toenail and kick a wall. I'm so sick of it. I'm so sick of it. I hate it.
Yes.
Yeah,
so
but
for those of you who couldn't tell, we're old. We're older.
Those videos, like they do something though. There's a reason you
work.
see so many of them.
They work, man.
Sadly,
they work.
I feel like the bad part is though they get picked up in the algorithm, but then that's just a band that has that video and nobody listens to their songs.
Yeah, true.
Or at least that's what I'm telling myself to.
It's what we're telling ourselves to make ourselves feel better, because we don't want to play the game.
Maybe you should think about it another way. Maybe they picked up a lot of fans from that stupid ass.
Probably
video.
right. Man,
They definitely could.
I don't know though.
I will say, like, if a band's music actually catches on and like triggers that algorithm, like that's how Sleep Token blew up.
Yeah, dude.
Like they were a decently big band, not big, but like they were a band that you'd see play with like Thornhill or something, or whatever. They were cool, like a 200,000-ish monthly listener type of band. And then they put out a song that caught on TikTok, and holy shit, like 10 times their listenership overnight.
Yeah.
That you go to bed, you wake up the next day, and you have 2 million listeners.
Because so I've got a buddy that he manages artists, and he's more in the pop, realm. But so I'm talking to him. He signed this dude, I guess 2 or 3 years ago. We were talking. He said, "Dude, I got this guy that emailed me yesterday. That's like, hey, I want you to like manage me and blah blah blah." And so he said, "Hey, you've got X amount of days to get this many like followers on TikTok."
Mm-hmm.
And it was what was he at? He was at like 500 or 800 or something.
Not very big. Yeah.
The goal was 1 million in like a month.
Jeez.
Wow.
At the end of a month, he broke like 2 million or something, like absolutely ridiculous.
Just Lordy. Just firing it off.
And then he signed a contract with Republic for $750,000.
Gosh dang it, man.
Oh, what world we live in.
Yeah,
man.
like
why can't we just have
crazy,
somebody come to our show and go, "You got potential, kid"?
Yeah.
Sign your life away.
Yeah. Like, and that's the thing though. It's so crazy because then, okay, you're talking about, like you were talking about earlier, being in a band. It's not just let's go out, let's write some music and do a show. Now it is, let's go out, do some shows, let's try and book some tours, let's create an online presence and get followers on all of these various media like platforms and stuff like that.
Let's upload our music ourselves.
Let's upload our music ourselves.
Yeah. It's not, let's make CDs and see if people make copies of them anymore.
It's this whole thing that like people talk. It's not just writing music and playing it live and putting it out. At least not if you want to keep doing it and not fund it. Because that's the thing that people also don't realize. Being in a band,
it's really expensive.
It's expensive, man. It takes money. It's not something that, even if you have all the gear you need to make music, okay, are you going to record yourself? Are you going to solely mix and master yourself? Because if so, it's not going to sound as good as some other bands unless you have experience.
Well, we've just, after 8 years, got to the point where we're self-sustaining.
Yeah.
And that's, a lot of that is truly because we have the right, connections with people we know that'll give us a good hookup with, recording costs or a video or whatever. But, we've just now got to that point where we're sustaining with merch and, we don't have to pay out of pocket for things anymore. And I never thought that was even possible, man.
Yeah. But like, that's the goal for a lot of people, and it's just, cause playing music's great. It's awesome. But then when it's like, oh, hey, okay, you guys want to put out an EP or an album. Okay, let's total up all the things it's going to cost to put that together. And even if you're doing it conservatively, you're still talking like at least $3,000 if you want to do it somewhat right.
Yeah.
And if you've got really good connections on tracking and mixing and mastering and stuff like that, 4 to 6 song EP, like that's not nothing to shake a stick at. So you've got to have some way to make money as a band, which obviously number one thing is merch. If you're playing shows, got to have merch, things like that. Merch that people want to buy and looks cool. Yeah, not just like a t-shirt with your logo on it. Yeah, you can't just get an
iron-on and a black tee. Like, you might sell a few the first time you do it, but, you have to keep it somewhat interesting for people,
Yeah, so it's, I don't know, it's very interesting to, like you said, we're now to the point, thankfully, where we can be self-sufficient, unless there's like some super big thing that comes along that we want to do or something like that, like if we want to splurge for like a super crazy music video or something. But like, it's definitely, it's something that, again, when you're first starting a band, those are things you don't think about because you don't have the experience to know that that's what you're going to need to be accounting for. And we feel very fortunate to be able to be at the point now where we can do what we want and not have to personally pay for it. So that's
how many people got into bands not realizing that a band is a business.
Yeah, seriously, man. It is,
and that's all that money you put into it, over the the previous 6-7 years, to be to a point like, okay, like it's at least paying for itself now.
Yeah.
We're not making anything yet, but it's paying for itself. Like, that's cool.
Yeah. Sure. It's an investment.
Yeah. It absolutely is.
Yeah. But it's an investment in yourself.
It's an investment like a lottery ticket's an investment.
Yeah.
Like a German car, dude.
Yeah. But it's, it's investing in yourself so that down the road you can do what you want to do. And, like we're fortunate, maybe fortunate in the sense that we are only beholden to ourselves in terms of we're not beholden to a label, we're not beholden to any contracts or anything. So anything we want to do,
we have no one to answer to, and it's so sick.
Yeah, if we want to switch up and make like a power violence grind album, we could do that if we wanted to.
Like, there's nobody to tell us no.
Yeah, and that's very freeing and it's very liberating, and it makes all of the work that's led up to these years worth it, because now at the end here we're just able to do what we want to do whenever we want to do it, within reason, of course.
Well, and that's, I think, just on that, right? Some bands, you have bands that play, the same thing every time, like AC/DC, right? Like, they're good, and you know what you're getting every single fucking album. There's no questions, right? But then you've got other bands that like they switch up from album to album, like Deftones, right? You cannot put
Mhm.
two
Oh yeah,
records of theirs together and go,
every
oh,
record is different.
yeah. And it's,
Yeah.
it's got
Well,
a really unique discernible sound, and you can tell what you play any part of any song and you know what album it came off of.
you always know it's them too. It's always so unique to their brand. It's not like it's. There's always a fine line you walk with wanting to get really experimental. I've heard bands where it's like they're like, well, we like everything, and I get it. We've done that too, but almost every song sounds like a different band. But they go so far out there every time, but it's always Deftones. I
Yeah,
love that.
it
Yep.
absolutely is. I'm really like when they announced the tour, I texted my wife like Deftones announced the tour because we just talked about it last week. Like,
Yeah,
Yeah.
man, we haven't seen Deftones in a minute. We need to go see them.
Yeah.
yeah. My girlfriend literally an hour ago was like, "Hey, we have to go to this. We got to do it. It's next year. You have PTO. We're doing it." And I was like, "Yeah, we are. We're going to go." Yeah, so I'm stoked to see them again. Like, I love that band, man.
Yeah,
They're
yeah, they're
those.
good. They're always good. Sometimes better than others, but always good.
Yeah, well, it's weird. It seems like, um, it seemed like Chino has lost a lot of weight or something, but his voice has gotten better. Like I know in performances over the years, he's maybe been hit or miss sometimes. Never bad, but like he's not quite hitting what
Yeah.
he's capable of. But dude, he's just consistently fucking killing it lately, and I love it,
Well,
man.
I think part of it now, like if you go, um, last time they played that little tiny amphitheater or the smaller amphitheater, White River or whatever it is in Indianapolis. Uh, we got there super early and he was out riding his bike. He like I feel like he rides his bike in every city
Yeah.
now, which helps keep that that weight down because he did blow up there for a bit. That's
Oh yeah.
probably the time he was getting off the drugs and going, okay, I got to figure out what's going on.
I can only
Yeah.
imagine what that must be like, man. Especially to be like a touring musician, and at that level, like I assume that it's fairly easy to have, access to as much food, booze, and drugs you want. You can pretty much do whatever, and then you get back on a tour bus. Obviously,
Yep.
it's a grueling lifestyle, but you don't really have to exercise or really do much except play every night, and that's it. So I could definitely see how it'd be hard to stay in shape doing that now.
For sure.
Yeah.
But it's hard to stay in shape when you're not doing those things.
Damn, that's so true, man.
I work an office job. It's
yeah.
yeah.
Getting the motivation to do any extra work besides what you have to do to survive is pretty hard sometimes. So
For sure.
Yeah, it kind of sucks, man. If I ever told me this is gonna suck, it sucks.
Yeah.
I don't know. I knew growing up was gonna suck, and I fucking honestly, it doesn't though. Like I'm having such a good time where I'm at.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's part of it.
You always say this dude says the craziest, most like stupid bullshit thing I've ever heard, but I love you because I made you repeat it.
Yeah. I always say that I can't wait to be an old man. Cause like if I get to the point when I'm an old man, I'm probably hopefully gonna be a little bit more like secure in my life, whether that be like financially or like I found like, what it is that I've wanted to do fully and like I've got a good groove. And like also when you get to the point where you're old, like people just excuse you doing absolutely
Do whatever
insane
you
shit for
want.
being old, dude. Like you ever just see an old guy who's doing something off in the distance, you're like, just an old guy. Just hanging out, man.
Oh,
Yeah,
he's
like
all over the lawn.
Just an old guy.
that's
So
that's part of it. Like you've
Yeah.
got to just not give it once you hit an age where it's like I really don't give a fuck what you think.
yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
I've noticed that lately, man. I don't
Yeah,
know what
that-
it is.
Releasing those inhibitions,
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's kind of freeing in that sense. You
It is.
stop putting on airs so much. You just go like, oh, I'd be polite to you, but like I'm not going to try so hard to appease this person that I don't really care about. It's like
Yep. Yeah,
Sure.
I mean that's the beauty of getting old. Like, who gives a fuck?
True.
This is what I think. I'm
True.
not hurting anyone. I'm
No.
not degrading anyone. I just who gives a fuck?
I'm just
Exactly.
chilling, bro. I'm just trying to do
Yeah.
me right
All
now.
right.
I'm literally
So
just trying to. Yeah.
so back to you guys. We've had a lot of killer conversation. Do
I
you
gotta
guys
say,
have
we'll talk
Sorry.
your ear off
Sorry,
forever,
man.
dude. Yeah, we love bullshitting, dude.
do you guys have like any goals or thresholds that you would like to meet with the latest release?
I mean, it's really hard. It's one of those things where it's really hard to give yourself goals and stuff like that. But I think that, for us, normally, just to peek behind the curtain here, normally what we do is, like you release something and then you take marketing measures to promote it and things
Sure.
like that once it releases. For this release, since we felt like there was a lot of like buzz around our local scene with it, we were like, let's just cool it for a few weeks and see how it does on its own.
Yeah.
And it has been while it's not been astronomical numbers, the amount of organic interest uh, that has been with it, not just here, but also like in places around us, like Louisville and stuff like that. It's been very assuring to show that,
Nice.
like, yeah, it's like, so I think the big goal for us is, having that genuine amount of like organic interest in the band, not just we've paid to put ads places and people have found out about us continually because of that.
Yeah. Which is necessary, but yeah, it's like you said, it's good to see what comes of doing nothing at all besides here it is. And yeah, I think it's been good so far. But yeah, now we're trying to do what we can with playlisting and all that stuff, pitching it to bigger playlists to hopefully get some traction. And, that always it helps drive people to your music, and that's always cool.
Have you have you guys thought about getting like a PR person?
I mean, we've definitely talked about it. Yeah. That's something we have always joked about, is that we need somebody who just like book shows for us, because that's the one thing we're all bad at. We really are cool. Like, we love to talk to people about music and stuff like that. But the minute that it kind of gets sort of businessy, in the sense where it's like, oh, hey, like, let us sell you on us as a band. Like, that's
we're bad at it.
We're bad at that. We just like to chill and talk about music and stuff. So yeah, we definitely need to find some people who can help us with that aspect, because not to sound conceited or anything, but we feel like the product we have, the music that we have, it stands on its own enough that if we can get it to people, it can resonate with people. We're just bad at finding avenues to get it to people. So,
well, it's I mentioned that because it's really hard. Like, I can only imagine what, you guys have full-time jobs and families and, doing plus all of the bands that you're in. So it's not like you have a chance to really focus and go, okay, like today, this is what we're doing, blah, 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 and knocking that shit out. So a PR person, if you've got the money to do it, and I think you can get a PR person for very, very affordable like cost. Um, the right PR person can get you on those playlists, get you more interviews, get you out there in front of people. Which when you do it yourself, you have everything going on. You can't focus and get it done as well.
No, you're absolutely right. I think that's something that we've understood now, and that's something that I think we do have a goal going forward, is trying to bring more people onto the team to kind of make it go a little bit further, as long as having, I think the thing for us is, like, we always want to make sure that we're keeping it can be good and bad thing, is we're trying to keep it reasonable to where it's like we're not overstretching what we're able to do, to the point where we go way out on a limb, and then because of it, it sours relationships or something like that. So we try to be very conscious about, like, this is what we can do right now, and that's what we're gonna do. Like, for instance, I think a good example for us, like playing that show that you were at, the EP release show, that was like a really big deal for us, because we got the offer for that show at like the end of July, which we were already finishing up the EP at the time. And Lee, who's the promoter, Lee Garnett, he was like, hey, you guys are supposed to be having an EP coming out. I've got Extinction AD coming through. Do you guys want to hop on that show and have it be a release show? And we were like, absolutely. This is the perfect like inspiration we need to finish this up, because otherwise we're just kind of doing it whenever we want to.
Right.
And just focusing. We got it done by that point. We were able to get cassettes made in time. We're able to get like merch relevant to the release and like all of that stuff, which a lot of stuff that, you know, if you're like a listener, you might take for granted, but it's like, it's all logistical things you have to do to get that stuff together.
Yeah.
And that show, for a number of reasons, was like a really big goal that we were working towards, and it went about as well as we could hope.
Yeah.
So I think for us, it's a lot of like little stuff like that, where it's like we recorded and released an EP, almost entirely tracking it all in house, by the way.
Yes.
And you know, we had a competent rollout for it, which is, you know, like we had, you know, like visualizers and like all this stuff, you know. And I think the goal is with every release to keep doing that, but build it a little bit. And I think we've already got, you know, 7-8 songs somewhat written for the next EP that we're working on. So like, it's just a matter of keeping the train rolling and try and do it soon enough to where people don't lose interest in you. So yeah, I would say the goal is to just to keep releasing music, but just marginally grow every time. And if you can just keep doing that, then eventually you'll get to the point where you're big enough to do really cool stuff that you want to do. And that's kind of our goal. So
Yeah, some of that is eating shit and going on tour and not making any money.
100%. Yeah, which that is something we in Forthright as a band have never done. We've never actually gone on any tours or anything. And that's something that we absolutely would love to do. But again, like I said, we try to be mindful about things that we know we can and can't do. And that's one of them that at this current point where we're at, it's never currently made sense.
Yeah.
And but I think all of us agree that if there ever was an opportunity to do so and it made sense, we would absolutely be willing to do it. So
I've definitely done enough tours to where I've seen like, okay, you know, there's enough hype behind this to be doing this works. But I've also done tours where you get out there and every show's in front of like 10 people and you're like, why am I doing this? I don't want to I don't want to be like, I want to go on tour just to go on tour. Like, you know, it doesn't always work out the way you want it to. You don't have the right following or the right hype behind you or whatever, you know.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I think again, right, I'm old and you hear that, right? I hear bands say that. And I'm not saying go and do it. If it doesn't make sense for you, don't go do it. But, you know, I think back to the time when, you know, before there was an internet,
right.
You know, what did bands do? They went out and they went town to town to town to town and grinded their fan base up. And I think that is, in my mind, that's a lot of what's missing today, because that like those scenarios, what do? They teach you to work together and harder as, you know, as the band relationship. You know, you hit those stressors and it's like, okay, we're either gonna make it through or we're not, right? And it keeps it helps the longevity of the band with the fan base, because those grassroots fan bases are a lot more they're a lot more invested in your success than someone who caught you on a TikTok for 20 seconds or whatever.
Of course,
actually seeing somebody
it's like a real person.
In person, it's meaningful. Actually, the act of being there, you know, you grow some sort of an attachment. It becomes personal, you know.
Yeah.
And I think it's a lot of that has to do with being mindful of the scenes in different places too, because like, you know, this is something, like I said, we're really only starting to try and get an understanding of this over the past couple of years. But like, we know there's a couple of scenes around just the United States that are really popping off. So it's like, obviously, if we're going anywhere, we're going to want to go to those places because that's where the cool shit's happening. And try and get to the point where we're known in those scenes with the heavy hitters there. And, you know, just try and being willing to, like I said, make that journey and go someplace where, you know, cool stuff is happening so that you can try and contribute to it artistically. And I think that's the big goal for us, is trying to find places where we feel like we can artistically contribute like what we're doing, and people will be receptive of it. And also, you know, it'll be a good thing for both parties, if that makes sense. So, yeah, for sure. So, but that's the little nuances of that. That's all stuff we're trying to learn right now. But I think that you summed it up perfectly. Like being able to do like an honest to goodness tour and hitting some of those really cool places we've been wanting to go. That's obviously a goal. would
Yeah.
love to do it.
Oh yeah.
So
Absolutely.
what are some of those places you want to hit?
I mean, I think the big one has got to be Alabama, like around that
Yeah.
Birmingham area, where like No Cure is from. Also, Cold Hard Steel, bands like that, dude. There's some crazy shit happening there.
Yes.
Yeah, they just had it was like Southeast Hardcore show. It was on the same day as Fuchsia Fest. They literally had like 20 bands in this like fucking skate park esque place that was connected to like a pizzeria or something. And I was just sitting there watching videos from it, and I'm like, this is so insane. It was literally like 100+ kids packed into this little glass room that had like a stage, and it was just so cool. It was just so sick to see.
Yes.
And like people of all ages, like little kids, like older people, as well as, of course, like when we say younger, we usually mean like 16 to 24-year-olds, all doing stage dives. Like people obviously just got off work from their FedEx jobs in uniform doing stage dives and shit. I'm like, that is awesome. Like that is what you really want. You want everybody coming together to enjoy this because it's just a good time. So definitely, I think that's number one on our list. Is we'd love to get down to Birmingham.
That'd be cool.
Play some good shows.
Sounds like you guys just need to take a long weekend and make that happen, because
we definitely discussed doing that. If we're able to make it work, we've talked about doing something like that with like Nashville and Louisville,
and Louisville too, the closer scenes. We
haven't played Louisville since oh my god, what was that place? Tiger Room,
like 2018 we played a show in Louisville.
We haven't really got to play any with like the hardcore scene since we put out this kind of music, so we're definitely wanting to get back down there again. But I don't know, long term, like if we ever got to play like anything in the Bay Area,
I mean that's obviously big. That's obviously a big goal as well. That's a little bit further away though, so
I can't really do a weekend run there unless you're paying to fly out there.
True. See, and then it's like, how you gonna fly all your gear out there? So I mean, there's definitely stuff we've talked about. Another thing we do have to consider, which is one of our guitarists, Cade, the one who I mentioned doesn't live here. It's because he lives in Murray, because he is still currently in college. So I can't really be doing anything unless it's during the summers.
Yes.
So at least not anything like that. We were going to be doing any runs and stuff like that. But we got like a couple more years of him being in college, and then fingers crossed. The plan is hopefully try to, like, once he's getting out of college and there's some other stuff in our personal lives we're getting through, trying to set the stage so that once we get to that point, we can actually like make a more honest to goodness run at it if we see fit, you know? So it's all the building blocks right now. So
hopefully. Well, I think you guys are in a good position. Once he's, ready to go, I think you guys would have built a super solid like fan base and be able to go, okay, we're definitely going to go do like a 4-day run and hit blah 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 blah.
Yes.
So I think that's a fucking great idea. Okay, guys, I'm gonna say thank you.
Thank you, man. Thanks so much.
My day starts at 4, so I'm like,
you're good. No. Hey, we'll talk your ear off forever, dude. Yeah.
For sure. Well, I greatly appreciate you guys taking time out to come hang out and chat with me.
Yeah, of course.
I look forward to hearing what the new stuff is that you guys are working on come together.
Thank you. Yeah, it's going to be pretty cool. Hopefully we'll get it out sooner rather than later. That's kind of, we're already working on it, so hopefully it should be out pretty soon for everybody to hear.
Hell yeah. Well, that's great. Guys, have yourself a great night.
Yeah, you as well. Take
Thanks.
it easy, man.
See ya.